What are you reading? What are you reading?
Some of the topics you're going to be talking about.
Oh.
It's always good to study as the show is beginning.
Absolutely.
Once I found out what we were talking about 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, the
figured I'd
topic
start.
just came up.
I was really good at taking tests, cramming the first few
Cramming
minutes
for
before.
5 seconds before.
Kind of what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. It's Thursday morning. That's right. That means it's that wacky couple. The couple that can take care of your finances and bring it all together under one roof. MoneyLinc. That's right. MoneyLinc with Steve and Gail Meeks. Brought to you by Interlinc Financial Advisors, Inc. Take it away.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Maniacs. Welcome to Thursday morning.
Here we are. Time to learn some new stuff today.
And we're both starving because we both worked out this morning. So,
So we're kind of hungry.
If you hear my stomach growl, that would be the starving.
That would be your stomach.
Yeah, well,
Wanna
starving
make
stomach.
Sure, it's starving.
Yeah,
stomach.
okay. So, what do we want to start with?
Whatever you'd like. I mean, what do you have over there? I think we had.
What
some
do I
people-
have over here?
Yeah. What do you have over there?
Well,
Show me what you got.
we can do Steve's Swami moment.
Oh, do we have to start with that one?
Yeah, that's your favorite.
That's not my favorite. Why do we start that? Good morning. Let's do the do-over. No, let's go ahead and start with that.
Okay.
What do we have?
So we had a question by one of our maniacs. Her name was Lauren. She said, what are long-term capital gains versus short-term capital gains, and why does that matter?
Okay. So, Lauren, you're going to hear these phrases a lot, because especially as more and more people start investing, because the stock market has been doing what it's doing. And, a lot of young people are now getting involved in trading.
Mm-hmm.
And they might buy and sell quickly. So what we look at is a term, because it all comes down to taxes, and how much or how little we want to pay on them.
True.
And when you have stocks, and is defined with long-term capital gain, that means you've held that stock for more than 1 year. And if you've held it for more than 1 year, then the gains that you have on that particular stock is going to be around 15%.
Okay.
Capital gain. So, if I bought it for $100, sold it for $200, you have 100% gain, and then 15% of that's going to be how much you would be taxed on it.
So you take the $200 minus the initial investment, which was $100, and then you have to pay capital gains on the $100 that was left over. Okay.
Yeah. And now short-term capital gains is if you have an investment and hold it for less than 1 year, in which case it's 20% would be the taxes. And you say, well, why is the taxes higher on that one? Well, the whole idea with, the concept of it was investing in companies is kind of how this country grows.
Okay.
The bringing in financial means so that these companies can reinvest and build, and our country kind of flourish from that. And so the government at the time wanted to put an incentive to say, well, the longer you hold a stock, which means it's there available, that the tax rate's lower. Also, with that, the owners of the company, is there an incentive to keep hold of those shares a lot longer? So that's kind of the difference between those two things. So long-term capital gains, short-term capital gains. So for all of those you that are maybe jumping on the run-up in the stock market, and you're buying and selling very quickly, you might be in for a surprise when those 1099 show up, right before tax season, and you go, I owe how much in taxes? Because that's what was happening.
You would have 20% on the gain.
Yeah, 20% on the gains. And that could be a rapid run-up depending on what you see with some of these companies. And it's getting a little out of hand, I think. Elon Musk, had talked about telling his people to use an app called Signal.
Okay.
And that's so they can just talk to each other. However, everybody thought he was talking about, they heard Signal. And so a lot of people bought this company that had Signal applications, which had nothing to do with what he was talking about. But because there's such this feeding frenzy, it took a company that everybody wanted it, and I think the stock went up almost 4,000% or some ridiculous amount. It was insane, and it had nothing to do with what the company was worth. It's
Right.
just
It's momentum trading.
it's total momentum trading. And you're seeing a lot of that
Yeah.
that stuff, and so a lot of people were on that bandwagon, as we saw, especially after COVID.
Right.
You know, these companies would go up rapidly, and then they would sell quickly. Welcome to long-term capital gains. Now, how that's going to happen in the future, we don't know. I mean, with as we figure out taxes and things, one of the things that's been proposed, which I hope they don't do, is now tax capital gains as ordinary income, because we have spent a lot of money. So how do
Proposed
we-
for 2021.
Yeah, potentially. That actually would disincentivize, the concept of it, because now you're taxed at whatever income rate you're at. And that let's see how that makes it through the Senate and,
Hopefully
the
it
House of
dies.
Representatives. Yeah, because, I mean, it will actually curtail that kind of stuff. But anyway,
Right.
so, I hope that answered your question.
All right. So the second question
Okay.
is from Karen, not an angry Karen.
Not an angry Karen, because as soon as you said Karen, I went, oh no, it's a Karen. No offense, Karen. I know it's not a good time to be named Karen right now.
Yeah. Well, my son called me an angry Karen the other day.
Yeah.
So, if interest rates go up, do my bond payments increase?
Actually, they don't. When you talk about buying an individual bond, and this is one of the things when you talk about bonds, people think that they're safe, as in bulletproof safe, can't lose my money. Excuse me, and that's not actually true. Think of it this way. You buy a bond is basically, in essence, a simple way to look at it is, Karen, you're the bank, okay? And a company wants some money. And so let's say they need $1,000. And they say, I will give you this promissory note, and then you give the company $1,000. And they say, well, you're loaning it to them, let's say for a year, just to make the math easy. And they say, we'll promise to pay you 5% on that, on that bond. So they're going to pay you 5% on the bond and give you your $1,000 back at the end of the year. Okay. Those bonds are determined by what the level of interest rates are at the time.
Right.
So if they're low, which they are now, the bond payment will be low.
Right.
Maybe better than your checking account, but not that great. Now, let's say interest rates go up. Well, now there might be new bonds on the market that the company would issue that pays 6 or 7%. Well, if there's new bonds out there that pay 6 or 7%, who wants yours that pays at 5?
Right.
So the value of it
Goes down.
That's why if you wanted to sell it, it can go down. And that's why in a low interest rate environment, bonds are actually kind of risky in a way. So you've got to make sure that the rule of thumb was, stocks and bonds, stocks are risky, bonds are safer.
And they have like an inverse relationship.
Exactly, with that stuff. And you got to be careful with that because, again, all the things we always talk about, Gail, that rules of thumb. It's not gospel. It's just a guideline. When interest rates were a lot higher, bonds were relatively safe because who thought that they'd go down to zero? The Federal Reserve would drop everything down. But if interest rates go up, for you, Karen, in essence, you're still going to get the same, let's say 5% on that bond. But the value of it, if you wanted to sell it, would be a lot lower because there's better ones on the market right now.
Right.
And those will always fluctuate. So you just really hold that to term. That's really what you would do.
That was a good answer.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I try to help Karen as much as I can. Thanks, Karen.
All right. Well, this show's sponsored by Brandon Hagar.
Yeah.
He's our Medicare specialist. And if you would like to contact him, you can go to needhelpwithmedicare.com. And on there, they have workshops listed where you can sign up and go have a meal with Brandon as he talks to you about Medicare if you'd like. And he's full of a bunch of really good information, and he can help you if you have questions.
I'd highly recommend it.
Yes.
I mean, you just think Medicare, just what do I do? And you and I, when we brought him on, there's a lot of stuff we know, but stuff that we don't know, especially within the realm of Medicare, was so surprising.
Yeah,
There's so many nuances
there are.
of that thing, and I highly encourage you to take the time to sit down and talk with him. He's really helpful
Mm-hmm.
and nice, and really wants to learn more about you and your situation, because I didn't know how customized
Right.
that these
they
things are. You think it's a government program? I just, it's like going to the grocery store and getting bread off the shelf. I just give me my Medicare, and
No, there's
so many subtleties to it, and which can hurt you financially if you don't understand how to navigate those
That's true.
that minefield.
Well, and weren't we like thinking it was only like Medicare A, B, and C or something, and
Yes.
it's like Medicare all the way to Z or something?
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
insane, and
Alphabet soup.
yeah, 8.5 and subparagraph 4, triple Z, it's just. But one of the nice things about that is, the bad thing is complex. But what I learned is that there might be ways that you could be helped where you didn't understand
True.
the help was there.
That's right.
And one of the things that you and I, Gail, are always looking for, especially as people run into retirement, this is all the money you're ever going to have.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot different than when you have a job
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting paid every 2 weeks or whatever, and you just think, oh, don't worry, I'm a little short on cash, I get paid next week. In this case, that's why we always harp on income planning, where this is all the money you got to last for the rest of your life.
Right.
And wherever you can be more efficient to help offset that unnecessary expense,
Mm-hmm.
without, and what I liked about him was it was also keeping the quality. It wasn't just going cheap.
Right.
It was that balance. And so, yeah, I was really surprised about that.
And if you'd like to call him, his phone number is 940-781-0359. All right. Well, last week we went over half of Social Security.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah, just some high points.
Well, Social Security basics, I guess.
Yeah,
half
just
of
some
it.
basics, just understanding it.
And I think we stopped at COLA. So our next topic would be like, can we work and collect benefits?
Yeah, and one of the things about the cost of living adjustment, just as a refresher, as we went through these things, for 2021, as we look at this, I think the pay raise on that, the increase is 1.3%. And we always say this, especially when we teach our class or we're talking to our clients.
The COLA is?
Yeah, the cost of living adjustment, the increase is 1.3%. And I should do a quick review on that, just so you know.
Yeah.
Because it's all about this check that you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And
Are you pulling it up?
yeah, let me kind of bring that up a little bit and see if we can kind of see what's going on before we get into the working part of it. Well, with cost of living, guys, and this is the thing, as we look at moving in the future, or as this journey occurs, and we always say this, I really, yes, who's in office, presidents, senators, congressmen, different opinions on how to approach, helping the economy, those are all going to change. We're always going to have a different president, different congressman, senator, and world leaders are going to change.
True.
Philosophies are going to change.
Yes.
How to approach these things.
Oh, and they're changing.
And they are changing, and that's fine. They're going to adapt. They're different than they were 20 years ago, and they're different than they were 30 years before that.
Right.
And they're going to be different 30 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that, as far as financial planners, we're concerned with is inflation.
Yes.
Because with all of that mess and all that stuff and getting mired in the news things getting more expensive is going to be a constant.
That's right.
That is going to happen. I don't care what's going on, things are going to get more expensive just over time. In fact, it's wired in the system. I mean, one of the things that the Federal Reserve's mandate is to make sure they devalue the dollar.
Right.
To make sure that it's worth less.
Right. We were watching, what was it? Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
You remember he said, I just bought a $60,000 house.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Or what was it?
What year was that?
Yeah, it was. And for those of you that haven't watched the movie, it was Leonardo DiCaprio was based on a true story of he was a kid. I mean, and he was writing bad checks.
Right.
But
Of over like $1
it was
million.
like $4 million.
Or
But in
million.
1965, that would be like $35 million today.
Right.
Staggering amount. when we were looking at that.
But he bought a house for $60,000.
Yeah,
And I was like,
$60,000.
wow, that would get
Yeah.
you nothing today.
No. It's so inflation. That's always your biggest enemy. And as we go with Social Security, this is why. There's going to be pay raises in the system. They'll try. And what we looked at was, will Social Security keep up with real inflation?
Mm-hmm.
And there's two types of inflation. There's what the government says it is,
Right.
which is called core inflation, and then there's what is reality.
Right.
And here's how we showed that.
Core inflation or Diet Cola.
Yeah, Diet Cola. Yeah, so we looked at from 1975 to 2002, the average pay raise for Social Security was 3.6%, which is great because we kind of do calculations on inflation doing about 3% when we're in the office.
Right.
Other things are going to be less, some are going to be more, but right around 3 so far, we've noticed that kind of hits the right zone when everything comes together. Healthcare could go up or things like that. But over the last 10 years, from 2011 to 2021, the average pay raise was only 1.6. And what we're trying to show with that, last year, 1.6, year before that, 2.9, year before that, 2.0. And here's the one I always love. In
2017.
Yeah. The government said that nothing got more expensive by more than 0.3%. Now, who in the world thinks that happened? That was flat. But the idea is that this year in 2021, it's 1.3, and the average is 1.6. So what we're talking about is, don't count on Social Security to keep up with the real cost of inflation.
Right.
This is why you need to build around it, have different systems in place. It's very important to have it. It's a core, but we got to make sure that we don't fall into that trap of the assumption. And people have walked into the office thinking that what happened.
Right.
And it's just the way they calculate it.
Exactly.
So that's how we go through that. But as you go through Social Security, I think one of the questions that was there was also, can I work and still get a benefit?
Exactly.
And the answer is yes, but
Kind of.
somewhat.
There are rules around it.
Yeah, these are government programs, so you got to have to put it. There's always under certain conditions, and if
So this is our most
under a high tide and the blue moon on the third month, and then you can get your benefit. Yeah.
When we do our seminars, this is our most interested slide. Everybody's like, can we take pictures? Can we? Everybody wants this slide
because they're surprised.
Right.
And one of the things, for y'all watching, if you want to take notes, there's a term that they're going to use, the Social Security Administration, called an earnings test. Mm-hmm. All right, that's the key verbiage. And we're really big on, when we try to teach, is teaching the language.
Yes.
Because, every organization is going to have their own different language. And it's not that you're not smart enough, it's that nobody taught you the rules or the language or how they speak.
Before they walked in.
Yeah,
Right.
So earnings test is, can I work and collect benefits? What they're going to do is earnings applies to, and this is really, really critical, only if you have a job, W-2 income or a 1099 if you're self-employed. Mm-hmm. It does not, the earnings test does not pertain to pensions that you may have, whether state pensions, federal pensions, money taken out of retirement accounts, income from rental properties, any other income like that. That doesn't count. Royalties doesn't count.
Right.
All that counts as it pertains to an earnings test is, do I have a job?
Right.
And it's also, what is your personal job, not married, finally, jointly. So when we look at this, and these numbers are just updated, and what you can do with Social Security is really based on, as you know, before full retirement age, which is 100% of my benefits, or under that threshold.
Full retirement age is 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, sorry, this is from not having, take a drink here. But what we're talking about is, under full retirement age is usually between 62 and 65. Mm-hmm. That's what we're trying to do. And you can work, but you can make no more than $18,960 a year. No more.
That's updated for 2021.
2021. Mm-hmm. So if we go beyond that threshold, and this is important, you now fall into the earnings test, which is what I'll talk about in a sec. Okay? So if we're below full retirement age, you can work. You can make no more and get a Social Security check. But you can make no more than $18,960, and that's per person.
Without a penalty.
Without a penalty, because that's your personal benefit.
That's right.
In the year that you turn your full retirement age. Okay, so let's say you actually turn 66 in December and it's January.
Right.
Okay, you're now in your year.
Understand that not everybody's full retirement age is 66. Sometimes it's 66 in 2 months. Sometimes it's 66 in 6 months. It's just around 66. Some people 67. So.
And they did that because they wanted to make the Social Security system solvent.
Exactly.
So that's why they're kind of extending when full retirement age is for different generations, because we're living longer. And so they everybody's going to hit this zone, but it'll be on your statement as to what's for you. So in the year that you hit that full retirement age, you can work, but you can make no more than $50,520 a year. Now, once you pass that threshold, and this is the most important part. Once you pass that threshold, sky's the limit.
Right.
You can make $1 million and get your full Social Security check without any penalty. So, under full retirement age, $18,960 in the year we turn, $50,520. Once we're past that threshold, no penalty, sky's the limit. Right. Now, why is that important? Here's what the earnings test is. What does that mean? So let's say this person is 64 years old. So he's below full retirement age.
Right.
He's under the threshold.
Right.
And he's making $65,000 a year.
Okay.
And so he called the Social Security Administration and he said, you know what? I'm eligible for my check. I think I'm going to go and activate my Social Security check.
Which a lot of people do. They think I can get
Everybody
my Social
does.
Security and work, and look how much that will be.
And this is why it's so important to talk to a financial professional that understands these nuances, because by law, and this is really important, it's surprising, the Social Security Administration can't tell you whether this is good or bad for you. If that happens, you're falling into the realm of advice. So a lot of times it's just like they'll say, okay, what's your age? Here's your Social Security number. You're due a check. There's your check.
Yep.
Whether that's good or bad, who knows?
Right. Got a question from the Peanut Gallery.
You do. I'm a peanut. So here's my question.
Uh-huh.
What does that work penalty mean? Do I have to write a check for $23,000?
See, you jumped ahead.
Oh, sorry. Well, you know what? The visual aid is so good.
Yeah.
That you figured it out.
have me changing my diapers.
Yeah, exactly. Surprise.
Yeah.
And this is why...
There's a peanut changing their diapers.
You know it.
I'm going to take a drink while that image kind of tries to leave my...
Let me get you back over to the slide. My bad.
What's in there?
The peanut and a diaper.
There you go. Now nobody can see.
Is that water in there?
Peanut and a
vodka.
diaper.
Early morning vodka.
Good morning. Feeling very good. Is Karen back on?
Is it angry Karen?
No, it's not angry. So anyway, when we look at
with these numbers, it is angry Karen.
It's angry Karen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, hello.
But this is the essence of what financial, or at least what we try to do. Yes, financial advisors, when you look at them, can I earn money? What's my rate of return on my investments? And we do our best to do that. But our approach is also twofold. It's not just how much money can we earn, but through our consultative and working together, how can we unnecessarily avoid money expenditures?
Sure.
And that's really understanding the rules, because we always have that old saying that we tell people when we teach the class. It said, if you had a choice, how much would you rather get? How much money you've earned over your lifetime, or how much money you've lost over your lifetime? And 9 times out of 10, it's like just from all the bad decisions or things that we didn't know, and learning these things. So here's how the earnings test works. You're making $65,000 a year. You could make no more than $18,960, and this goes to you, Peanut Gallery. So
with a diaper.
Yeah, with a diaper. So
changing my diaper.
Yes,
changing it.
Which means you overshot the mark by $46,040, and nobody told you. So they're going to take that number, divide it by 2, and you owe the Social Security Administration $23,020. Surprise. Now, I've seen it two ways, okay? Some I've seen a bill actually sent out. Others, they reduce that Social Security check to the point it's almost non-existent anyway.
Until they get paid.
Yeah. So
Can I ask what the thought behind this is?
the thought, in essence, is an incentive to prevent you from filing Social Security.
Early.
It's my money.
Exactly.
But
You've got to hold my money long
yeah,
enough. That's my
it-
money.
Because we have, as the demographic gets older, when we look at that, and that's a great question, but if you look at the beginning, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt put the Social Security system in place, and it was done because we were coming out of the Great Depression, there was no safety net. People truly were left on their own. And so through the beginnings of those works, he said, well, we got to have at least some kind of foundational safety net. At that time, the retirement age was 65. And they said, okay, when you're 65 years old, you're eligible for full benefits, which was awesome in the 30s because life expectancy was 55 years old. Think of that.
So you really never got it.
So most people didn't live long enough to hit. Exactly.
Yeah, that's why they're wanting to raise it to like 72, right?
Exactly. So that's one of the things that they did. They said now
JP
suddenly.
says jacked.
Yeah,
They were jacked.
they were jacked.
Jacked. I'm woke about this.
He's so woke.
Jacked.
I am so woke because I got jacked.
So I
Right.
used woke with my teenager the other day.
Yes, you
And
did.
she thought I was really hip.
Especially using the word hip.
Hip,
I
yes.
was about to say, until right then.
She
It was all
Then I
good
just
till
messed
right
She
it
was
up.
then.
woke, and then boom.
Boom. You're a peanut changing your diaper.
You're a peanut changing your diaper just like that. Wrong century. But you had your moment. It was right there.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of what they're doing. They're trying to figure out how do we keep it solvent because more and more people are retiring. The population, it's not the population that is getting older, but the real essence is they're living longer. And that's one of the things that you said is right. They question.
So I guess here's my other question, though,
Sure.
right? So you always hear them talking about, well, Social Security just doesn't have any money in it. And, by the time you get to the age of Social Security, you being this figmented human being, I guess,
Correct.
there won't be any money there. But yet, they've had our money for a long time. So
True.
where's all of our money going?
Well, where is it?
Do they borrow against our money, the federal government?
Well, to think that the money's just isolated in a certain account to
Is
then be
not.
distributed
It used to be.
for
I was
only that.
hoping an IRA Roth.
It used to be that. It used to be under those conditions, where all the money that was collected through FICA tax was actually just allocated in a certain account, and that was only to be used for that. Those things changed as the years progressed. So, is the Social Security Administration, are they going to run out of money? No. Now, why do I say that? Well, one, political preservation. Think of that. Okay. Who in their right mind is going to vote for a congressman, senator, or president that's going to take away the Social Security check that an elderly person is receiving today, right now? Nobody. And what demographic usually votes more stronger, older or younger?
Older.
Older. Always going to be that. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, what you mentioned too, they're going to extend when you're eligible for full retirement age. Like it used to be 65 years of age. Then it became 66, and 62, and 66 in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. For us, it's 67. I don't know, for the baby boomers, 85. I mean, the millennials, 85. Who knows, But we're living longer, so that comes into context. The other thing is they're going to raise the FICA tax.
Well, they already have.
It's going to go up. They already have. And the biggest thing that is forgotten is they always said that the baby boom generation was the biggest generation. There wasn't somebody bigger behind them to pay for this. Millennials are bigger than the baby boom generation. And when you combine that with Gen Z coming in, I mean, that's a big amount.
Yeah, they just need to get a job.
Yeah,
Well, that was my question. I mean, are they working? Do we know that?
Well, see, before the COVID hit, which affected all of us. I don't care what generation you're in. They were. I mean, those unemployment numbers were real. I mean, it was 50%. 50% record low unemployment with real jobs, and good paying jobs. And that was across all demographics, ethnicities, all that was true. So can the economy reapproach that? Sure, it's possible. Yeah. And so bringing all those things together, yeah, they'll keep it solvent. A lot of that stuff, and it's not to get political, but it is emotional. So when a politician, I don't care either side, they all play the same game, is that I need you to vote on a certain day. Mm-hmm. So I need your emotions up here at that time. We're going to take away your Social Security. You're going to lose it.
They're not going to,
No.
I had asked you guys this question before Christmas, and they've done it again, and the government's put together this package, this COVID relief package.
Sure.
Has been sent out, and again, we'll stay out of the politics of it and stay strictly with the financials.
Yeah, I'm equal opportunity, peanut gallery. I'm pissed off at both sides when I look at the math.
Well, sure,
it's all about the math.
I just want to stay out of the fact that half of it's going to other countries.
Yeah,
but I said it, so there you go.
Yeah,
the peanut's got his diaper back on.
Exactly.
But no, in all seriousness, I'd asked this question before. Yeah. What kind of impact is taking on this debt going to have? I mean, I know that you can't forecast it. This isn't the Swami moment.
No.
But, I mean, do we have any kind of idea if there truly is going to be a Social Security or any kind of anything with the type of debt? I mean, I get it. We have 88 million millennials. That's great.
Sure.
But, I mean, is all of their tax income going to be spent paying debt?
The hard answer.
Sorry, I didn't let you plan
ahead. Who wants to have this discussion this morning, everybody, as you're having your morning coffee? Welcome to the apocalypse. But no,
I'm going to my cry closet.
So I went from peanut gallery and diaper to I'm just going to cry. The money that we owe is just unimaginable. What makes it possibly doable is the low interest rates. If interest rates start to go up, then that's where it gets real problematic, because the interest on the debt would be staggering. How does this work? I always go to a favorite quote of mine that Winston Churchill said back in World War II, and it went back to, are the Americans ever going to get into the fight? They were waiting. This Britain's defending themselves. I said, Mr. Churchill, when are they going to come in? They said, don't worry. Americans always do the right thing after they've exhausted all other options. And it's kind of true. We're still 200 plus years old in conjunction to China and the rest of them. We're kind of little babies in the whole scheme of things. But when things really hit the fan and stuff needs to be done, we find a way to get it done. Mm-hmm. And I got to believe that moving forward. One of the things that happened, which was amazing, and it can happen again, was during the Clinton administration. We paid off all the debt. I don't know if you remember, guys. You guys may or may not know that, but in the 90s, we actually had no debt. We had paid it all off. Mm-hmm. And that was during the Clinton administration. It is possible to pay the debt off. However, how did it happen? And it happened because of the first George Bush. Remember, read my lips, no new taxes? I have no idea how he got this passed, but he did. And you got to believe it could happen again. And that was called the Pago Rule. And the Pago Rule said that Congress could not pass any type of spending bill unless they cut back on something else. It was a forced balanced budget, is what it was. And so it's all about spending. So what happened was the economy, America did what America does. Mm-hmm. Economy took off. Entrepreneurship went. Capitalism, money came in the coffers. And they had no choice but to pay everything off. And infrastructure and stuff. It's never going to be perfect, but things were done. Okay, Americans were still taken care of. In fact, so much money came into the coffers that they had to send check back to people. But that expired. And this is where I'm equal opportunity.
The Pago Rule expired.
The Pago Rule expired. Yeah. So we're going to need something like that, in essence, to get into place to get this thing under control. Because here's what happens. Look at both sides. Again, this is not politics, it's math. On one side, you want to say we need to lower taxes and increase military spending. Okay, that's the general vernacular, right? And then on the other side, they'll say we need to increase taxes and increase social spending. What do both have in common? Spending
money.
Spending. At a certain point, this thing has got to come together. And it will. It will. It's happened before many times in our country's history, and it'll happen again. So does that mean, but that goes back to what you're talking about. One of the ways to do that is there's two ways to approach this. One is to raise taxes and pay it off if you control the spending, or lower taxes, let entrepreneurship and capitalism and deregulation take full effect, and still control the spending. If that happens, yeah, we'll get this under control.
So then that's what brings me to my last question of bothering you, so you can get back to what you're doing.
No, because taxes, this is so depressing.
Yeah, it really, it's life, that's for sure.
Is anybody still listening? It's going to be fine, everybody. We're going to get through
the
it.
Maniacs they're dug in.
Here's the thing. This country makes a lot of money.
It's true.
I mean, we are massively blessed in the history of the world. And if we can just curtail the spending and drive that and get the debt paid off, it actually could happen very quickly.
So, and that brings me to my next question. Again, is we have a new administration coming in.
Sure.
With that new administration coming in, what they've said, how they've acted, how the markets are responding, people are responding.
Sure.
Do we see that happening? What impact does this new administration have going forward with retirements, with Social Security, with taxes?
Well, and again, both sides of the coin. Whatever the administration is, it's all going to come back to controlled on the spending. The odds are, if you listen to the philosophies of each type of party, that it's more drifted towards taxes going up. People paying their fair share, whatever that means. That's always these things. But I've also noticed that a lot of politicians, in a way, these are the things they say to get elected, because we are talking about politicians now. And then once they're in office, would it be as draconian tax increases or expansions of things that does that really happen? More often than not, it doesn't go to that degree. So there's so will it go to that point? Like, for example, when you look at this, the taxes, look at what's happened with taxes with a lot of these states where we've seen a lot of migration. What did they do? They taxed the wealthy to the point of you can now see it. They're like, I'm leaving New York, I'm going to Florida. It was on that individual level. You start doing that on the corporate level, regardless of whether it plays on the TV or not, to a certain degree. The world we live in is a global planet. It's now, Google can pick up and leave very quickly, and say, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where, to see that kind of push on high taxes like what you see in the rhetoric, I would be shocked if they really went that far, because now you've lost the one economic driving engine of this country, whether it be healthcare, the pharmaceutical industry, technology industry. Elon Musk came to Texas, but you keep on pushing that. So that's why I think it's not going to go as far off the rails. They do know they need to get the budget under control. They do. You can't kick this can down the road forever.
Hopefully they do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the year 2021 was Mad Max.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody doesn't know that Mad Max started in year 2021. So we always have that. But no, I mean it'll be fine. It'll be bouncy. It won't be. It'll be a change, and we all don't like change. We like what we know. But that's our job, for Gail and myself. We try as best as possible to not going to make it a bumpy free ride, but any financial professional, what they're trying to do is minimize the impact of that. And I hope that answers that question. When you kind of go through that. So.
You said you already did your last.
So,
it's fine.
I guess, going and peeling off of that,
Sure.
the market, I know there was a huge amount of concern.
True.
Would the market stabilize? I know that, that Interlinc and MoneyLinc they struggled. They were like, oh my God, what's the market going to do?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because it was transitioning. Yeah, because the economy was changing.
It held. Will it continue to hold? Or do we see a foreseeable fallout with all of the political change, all of the economic change, all of the giving America money rather than, us taking more in than what we're spending?
Well, remember, the market's going to run on a short-term time frame, as we know. It's almost become news feeds as before, and that's what COVID did. There's a type of investments when you look at analysis called fundamental analysis, meaning, how much money is the company making and looking at balance sheets and budgets. And that went out the window.
Yeah, it's the Warren Buffett way of investing.
Then you have what's happened now is just value-based. What is the potential of something? Like, there's no question. We changed our portfolios in our clients, because we already knew that we were going towards technology. I mean, look what we're doing here. 25 years ago, that wasn't non-existent. Radio or nothing, pretty much so. Now look at here. But what the lockdown did is it accelerated the embrace of technology, whether Zoom meetings or whatever. It just pushed it forward. And there are disruptions in the market, obviously so, and it's pushing towards a different type of economy. So is that going to cause a disruption in the market? Yeah, it will. Will it be bouncy? Yeah. But is it still going to go on an upward trend? Yeah. So because they'll adapt to different things, and that's happened in the last time if you look at it, which is amazing, when we were talking about this, the last time we were in this type of disruptive economy was actually the early 1900s.
Right.
Railroads, oil, Standard Oil, all of that, because it was changing.
Yes.
Now we're leaving, and we're the Rockefellers and all of that, to just really changing what the world was. Before then, it was the railroads, and it changed here and more industrial based and kicked in, and really did. Now we're embracing more technology. What is the world going to look like? Remains to be seen.
Right.
But will it continue to move the economy forward? Yeah. It's just how we look and approach these things. We're here. And what we find is that in disruptive markets like today, technology is even going to be more embraced. So
I agree.
So kind of go with that.
All right. So we do want to finish up the...
Boy, that took an offshoot,
I
didn't
know.
it? We started with a peanut and a diaper, and man, went to
breakfast
Karen.
vodka. Sorry about that, guys.
Vodka.
hold
I
on.
didn't mean to take you, but you guys
No,
have
no,
so
but
much
hold
great
on.
information.
I promise you, it's water.
Yeah, enjoy your vodka. But seriously,
it's water.
The information is so
Okay.
good, and it's not readily available.
No.
And people are so it's like people showing up to a fire hydrant after they have walked through the desert. When we watch you guys, and so I'm the same way. So I'm like, get as much as I can. I know that if I've got these questions, the money maniacs have these questions. Others have these questions. So I apologize.
No.
Don't apologize at all.
The things that we do is there's so many moving parts to this stuff, in Social Security, and we're talking about in the, what we try to do is basically take a step back. Let's look at the bigger picture, see how things are going, and then see how that applies to each individual person. And that's really what we believe financial planners should do.
Agreed.
Instead of just, this is, everybody fits in this little box.
Agreed.
But yeah, I mean, when we're talking about Social Security, that would be a big shock if you filed it incorrectly and you're still working and now you're stuck with that bill. But I don't know if that helped. It really did. So where do we go from that? Yeah, Social Security, yeah, it's still going to be here. Will it be in various forms? Possibly. You know, but it's still going to be there. And that's what we're looking at in essence. And this is the bigger picture of this. Social Security, in whatever form it exists in, yesterday, today, moving forward, it was never designed, nor will it ever be designed, to be an end-all and be-all. And that's one of the things I want you guys to remember. It was designed to be some form of income.
Right.
And understanding that and building around that baseline so that as the world changes and economies and politics, all of that still kind of works together.
Exactly.
Yeah. Question.
Quick question. Since I happen to be 64 and am considering retiring right now, can I retire and delay my beginning of Social Security?
Yes.
You can. Absolutely. And sometimes that's a great, that's a perfect strategy for some people. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. Because when you look at retirement, and we always use, we use different words. Like retirement planning, we call it wealth building. You're saving for the future. It's just used for so many decades. That's kind of what we're talking about. When you start talking about delaying Social Security and that transition, you're more talking about income planning. When the cash starts showing up in your in your checking account, and at what time, and so because we need to make it last for a lifetime.
Yes.
And when you look at Social Security and the benefits, the longer you wait, the bigger the check will be. We know that. However, and this is the thing that we kind of show people here, it's all a cash flow play. And one of the things that we use about is, these tank systems and things like that. And for those of you that may or may not be aware, all it is cash flow. There's a lot of moving parts in the cash flow, but that's it. This gray tank is income, whether that be a pension, your job, or Social Security, and it's coming through this valve here. And before we get access to it, we got to take into account taxes down here at the bottom. And we have two other tanks. One is a safe tank, let's say checking accounts, or things like that, because we will have emergencies in life. And then investments, 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, whatever they are. Okay. So here's the trick. If we knew how long we were going to live, this is easy, because then we can forecast that. Okay. But that doesn't, you don't want to turn into the Mickey Mantle scenario. If I knew I was going to live this long, I'd have taken better care of myself. That kind of stuff. But if we delay Social Security, and this is why working with a financial advisor is important, that understands all these nuances, you still got to pay your bills. So how do I pay my bills? If I delay Social Security, that means I may be depleting this investment tank earlier than needed while I'm waiting for that bigger check in Social Security to show up. And if you do that in the wrong sequence, you could run out of money before you knew it. And that's what you hear sometimes with, on the online, if you're interested, wait till 70, that's the biggest check. If it was that simple. So, yeah.
There are a lot of other moving parts.
Exactly. So sitting down, should you delay? Possibly. Basically, if it fits for you, because that can allow a different tank to grow or things like that. So, but sitting down with a financial advisor, and that's their job, is to kind of work through all those moving parts to say, yeah, this is good, or activate it now, because this actually, by activating that income now, it actually protects this investment tank for a lot longer. So yeah, at 64, do you need the money? That's the biggest question. I don't know. That's where we kind of see it. If you don't need it, kick it down the road, because that stuff, it does kind of grow. Like Social Security will grow at 8% per year, up until age 70, not counting cost of living. I don't know. And we always ask this question, Gail, is like, does anybody know of an account that grows guaranteed at 8% per year and is legal?
Absolutely legal.
Yeah.
And your birth date is December 27th, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So at the way it works is you would be paid the fourth Wednesday of every month. So there's because you're on the 27th.
Yep. When you get your check depends on what day your birthday was.
Right.
Yeah, that's another thing. This might be a little helpful for people. Just FYI, when that check shows up.
Mm-hmm.
If your birth date, and this is moving forward, falls between the 1st and the 10th, go ahead and take over with that one.
So the 1st through the 10th, you would be paid the second Wednesday of the month, and 11th through the 20th, the third Wednesday. 21st to the end of the month is the fourth Wednesday.
Yeah, and that kind of helps with cash flows, you know.
Yeah, because you need to know, like,
Yeah.
if this bill's showing up on this date, how do
Yeah.
what check is going to cover that
Yeah.
bill? You know.
Yeah, and you know, for our listeners, that like could be married, and you know, one birthday is on the 1st, the other's on the 22nd.
Exactly.
You know, when does that show up?
So, will your Social Security be taxed?
Oh, how much time do we have left? we kind of went off.
Not enough.
Off the reservation?
Drink another vodka.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Do you
Yeah,
want to go through that the next show?
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
With taxes on Social Security, here's the answer: maybe.
We'll go through that in more detail next show.
Yep. As we kind of go through those, because with taxes, that's where we fall into. Well, I can kind of hit a little bit of it,
Okay.
not the details. There's the earnings test, and the fancy term now is provisional income, and this is what how much of Social Security could be taxed, and that's the essence of it. Could be taxed,
Right.
and so when they look at this stuff. They're looking at thresholds to see how much of it is taxable. Now, with provisional income, you know, I won't go into the details on this. We'll leave it for another show. But provisional income in this case takes into account everything now,
Right.
to whether you hit a certain threshold to see if it could be taxed. And that's all the money coming in from your pensions. Now the IRAs fit. Now the
Royalties,
even
rent.
royalties, all of it is going to come into play now to determine how much of it will be taxed. And even half your Social Security check counts towards this little calculation. The only two things that don't count towards provisional income is Roth IRAs and life insurance policies. And what I mean by that is not the death benefit. These are different types of life insurance policies. Maybe one day we'll get into the nuances of that. But these are life insurance policies that were specifically designed to provide tax-free income. And you see a lot of these in corporate executives that have these. You know, these are permanent life insurance policies. We're not talking about term.
Right.
They've got a lot of, you know, they can be designed and customized.
Correct.
That's their role. But one of the things also for provisional income is tax-free municipal bonds actually count. You know, you wouldn't think so, but they're not as popular anymore because their interest rates are so low. But they don't count towards IRS income, but they do count towards provisional income. So all of those, as always, it's the government, it's regs, guys, and we hope we didn't bore you on that one. But yay, taxes! But there's all kinds of moving parts, and you know, maybe some of you are drinking just water like I am. No, I'm not. It really is water. I'm just kidding.
Sure.
Yeah, it is. 7:30. I don't.
You don't drink vodka.
Yeah, it's fine.
You don't drink
fine.
vodka at 7:30.
No, don't start till 7:45.
Okay.
Who wants me as my as the advisor now? Just kidding, everybody.
And on that note, if you want to contact,
and on that note, call Interlinc Financial Advisors.
if you would like to contact us,
Yes. 'Cause we start at 7:45 with our water.
So our website is interlinkfinancial.com. Interlink has a C at the end.
Yep.
There is another question from the Peanut Gallery.
No.
Oh, no, there's not.
There's
He's
not.
holding up.
He's holding up
5 fingers. That means 5 minutes is left.
That's 5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He's got the 5-finger discount.
Check her cup. She did not just say
Uh-huh.
at 8:30 in the morning the 5-finger
If
discount.
you thought
She
vodka
did
was
not.
here, what do you think's in that
See, it's
Yeti
it's
over
not
there?
clear. So, you know.
Yeah. Wow, I've got to go change my diaper.
And how else do you contact me? You can call Courtney. She's our new
Yeah.
administrative assistant.
Yep,
She's amazing.
She's been very helpful.
Yes,
Absolutely.
214-778-5645. She knows how to get a hold of us.
That's right.
And
Email.
my email is Gayle, Gayle, at interlinkfinancial.com.
Courtney's email.
Courtney, same thing. Courtney at
Yeah.
interlinkfinancial.com.
Absolutely.
That was tough. That was tough.
So, and one of the things is we'd be more than happy to, if anybody's interested in those things and these questions, because we talked about a lot and how these things can fit in your own personal financial world. We'd be more than happy to sit down and do a consultation. It doesn't cost anything, and nor should it.
No.
Because, it's just seeing where you're at. And a lot of the ways that we approach this is don't change a thing.
Exactly.
Just see what you have. Don't change a thing. Let's see where that road is taking you.
Yeah.
Because that's really in essence of what a lot of people have when you simplify it is, I'm doing stuff. I got, these financial products. I think I know what they do,
Right.
but I'm really not sure where this road's taking me.
Exactly.
I just, is it okay? And that's, in essence, that's what we try to do. And when we look at things and we're forecasting and trying to put these pieces together for people, but also help you take more ownership of what you have. Would you say, Gail?
Mm-hmm.
Because we try as best as possible that you understand more about what you have, how it works, and why it's
Right.
there.
Well, it makes more sense too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're like, oh wow, this is why that's there.
That is true.
So, but for the next show, I guess we'll continue on and talk a little bit more about the taxes and where that can and be surprisingly, because there's some people, believe it or not, if you do it right, in some cases the Social Security there is no tax, and if you do it not right, there's a lot, and so that's why I said it all depends.
It's strategies.
Yeah, always is. We'll always do our best to try and keep ahead of that.
To try and be strategic.
Yeah,
Easy
I
for
mean
you
these
to say.
things, the world's changing rapidly, and so we do our best to stay ahead of that curve, But that's also why we always try to have backup systems that we talk about.
It's true.
Because nothing. There's no plan that's bulletproof. Something's going to go wrong somewhere. You just want to make sure that you have backup systems so that the machine keeps on moving forward.
All right. Well, I'm going to do something fun. This is going to be like a trivia thing.
Okay.
$25 gift card for anybody that puts it in the comments, or any maniac that puts it in the comments the fastest. The first person to put it in there.
Okay.
The trivia question is, which first lady was the first to appear on U.S. currency?
I can't play the game.
Because you know the answer.
No.
So one more time, because that's kind of a cool question.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
a cool question.
Which first lady was the first to appear on U.S. currency? Mm-hmm. Yep. Go ahead and put your answers in there. And then next time, or you know what, I'll just tell you in the comments who wins. I'll
Okay.
just tell you in the comments.
All right.
So I'm not going to announce it. I'm not, or maybe I should. I don't know.
Oh no, just you can.
Well, let's just say
Put it in the comments. I
You think
liked
it's
that.
funny?
Oh,
Okay.
heck yeah, man.
We'll
The
put it in the
maniacs are going to lose their minds.
yes. They're going to lose their minds.
I want to know the answer.
It's going to be a brain pop.
Do you know the answer?
Do you know?
I think I do. I'm going to put mine in the comments.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, then. And then I'll let you know who wins in the comments. You still starving?
I'm really hungry.
So where are you taking us for breakfast? Because your peanut gallery
Yeah,
is also
exactly.
hungry. And you had the pleasure of having Stan the Man, the comedian today.
That's
That's
true.
right.
That's true.
He is pretty amazing.
That's true. Well, I guess nice American breakfast. Get the pancakes, the bacon. Gotta have the eggs. Little toast.
I can't do eggs. It's not a good thing for me.
It's not a good thing for you. Doesn't work well for you. Doesn't make you happy.
Mm,
No.
Nope. makes
I
my
noticed that
stomach
about
hurt.
you. Yeah, it makes your stomach not feel good.
I get to be
Well-
an angry Karen when I eat eggs.
Yeah, we don't want the angry Karen. No,
No.
we don't need the angry Karen.
No. Well, we will see you next Thursday.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us today on the MoneyLinc Maniac Show.
Have a great
Advisory
day.
services are offered by Interlinc Financial Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Texas. Insurance products and services are offered through Texas Family Insurance, Inc., an affiliated company. Examples shown are for illustrative purposes only and are not recommendations or solicitations of any specific investment product or strategy. Tune in again next Thursday at 7:30 for this dynamic financial duo here at MoneyLinc.